Good morning and welcome to the November 19th meeting of the Facilities Committee. I call this meeting to order. Mr. Helms and Mrs. Helms are both on the phone. I need a motion to approve the agenda. Motion to approve. Second. All those in favor say aye. 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 Thank you. Next on the open session action item is the Parkwood High School mascot logo changes. In board docs is all the information with respect to the cost of the logo change and the mascot change. And the documents behind it for uniforms and the other things on their campus. Mrs. Merrill and I went out to Parkwood and toured the campus and looked at all the things that would need to be changed and was able to ask questions of the principal and the AD. It was a good conversation. So the total amount is $160,272, which is less than what we had thought in July. So we need to make a recommendation to the full board. So the Finance Committee determined that we had money for Parkwood High School left over from a project that didn't need to happen back in 2016. So it's up to the facilities now to recommend that we use the money for these items.
Make a motion that we approve this request and recommend it to the full board at the December meeting.
Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
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 Aye. Unanimous. Thank you very much. Next is the Sun Valley High School Media Center furniture, Mr. Burnett.
We're using
And I'm sorry, Mark, did you want to say anything on the mascot? I skipped over you. Sorry.
We're using state contract pricing for the replacement of the media center furniture at Sun Valley High School. Step Up is the vendor. The value of the PO would be $129,743.26. The funding source is the 2018-19 CIP, and staff recommends or requests the Facilities Committee to recommend to the Board of Education approve the contract with the PO with Step Up in the amount of $129,743.46.
My only question on this is, was this done in conjunction with the high school principal and the media center coordinator? Did they help pick out?
They were all involved.
And it's going to match with the carpeting?
It won't clash.
Hopefully.
It will not clash.
Thank you. So I need a motion to recommend to the Board of Education approving contract with Step Up in the amount of $129,743.46.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Unanimous. Thank you. Oops, did we lose somebody? Oh, there she goes. Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. No problem. Next is the facilities need survey. Mr. Burnett.
Okay, hopefully, I've met with quite a few. Mark Strickland and I have met with quite a few board members, actually all sitting board members except for one, and Christina. Begin with the end. We do ask that the committee forward this to the Board of Education for a December 1st meeting. We also will be taking this to the Board of County Commissioners on December 7th. What the board's action is that they certify that the survey is a true representation of the needs and the situation of UCPS. The Board of County Commissioners certifies that they have received and reviewed a copy of this survey prior to submission. This does not say that the board approves the cost. It doesn't say that and there is no commitment by the Board of County Commissioners or the Board of Education to fund the work or to perform the work. So in years past, this has often been called a wish list. We do try to temper that as much as we can, but to a degree, it can be a wish list.
Required by the state, right?
This is a 5, yes. And in the attachments, there's about 60 attachments on this particular item, which are PDFs of each individual school, which says what's going to happen in the 0 to 5 and 5 to 10, 6 to 10 years. This happens every 5 years. So in the PDFs that are there, I think it's the last one, at least it shows it's as the last one on mine. As I'm looking at, it's the Facility Needs Survey Cover Memo, which is this document here, which goes into a lot of detail of what general statute requires this, and the board certification process. What we do plan to do is to have all of these PDFs on the facility's website, and the memo does show where that has a link for that, so that you'd be able to access it. Just the thing that we would note about the survey is that the format of the survey and the software is provided by NCDPI. It only does K-12 schools, so it doesn't do administration, buildings, or like we just did the transportation building. That would not show up on here.
Right, and we discussed facilities and maintenance, but you can't put it on here.
Yep.
Okay.
Many of the cost figures that are in here are embedded in the software. We can add some cost and input it, but anything that's calculated, for the most part, they're using NCDPI formulas and their standardized costs throughout the state. Again, those were fixed, and when we couldn't change those. The project sheets represent one pathway, for possible solutions. So there could be many solutions. We just had to pick one. Again, there isn't anything that nails this down as number one, that we're going to do the project or we're going to do the project this way. We tried to do a lot of quality assurance to make sure that that there aren't things in there that we just wouldn't do, but occasionally something might slip in. So there's that risk. And really, there's a lot of information here. So if there's any questions, maybe we can just handle it that way.
I would like to add too that all of our bond request projects are all on this list as well, correct?
Yes.
Through all 4 or 5 bond
Yes.
requests over the years. So
And
what?
CIP too.
Right. Okay.
Right. We did try to incorporate our CIP, which is 5-year
Okay.
planning. We did also talk with schools.
Okay.
And as you said, we tried to incorporate the bond requests that we did. So long-range planning was incorporated too.
But I want to caution people who read the document, these items may or may not happen depending on funding and things like that. And things happen every year on facilities with respect to HVAC and roofing and everything that could push other projects along. So I just don't want people to go to this and read it and say, oh, my school's getting this in the next 5 years. That may or may not happen. It's somewhat of a wish list of what we want, what we see from a facility's nature. So,
Which is very different from a needs list.
right, exactly.
Which, if people really want to know what needs to be done at our schools, they need to be looking at the CIP and the list of bond projects that we've supplied the county for the last 2 years. So one of the things that Kathy and I discussed with Mark and Dave when we were reviewing all of these documents is, one, this is a state required, every 5 years, we have to take a full inventory of all of our schools. This is their spreadsheet. This is data that the state is asking for. And so by statute, this is what we do every 5 years. And during the meeting, we refer to it, if we won the lottery, if money fell out of the sky and we could only do one thing, do stuff to schools, these are items that we would do. But they are not capital improvement projects, that we are actively seeking. So lottery money, monopoly money, these are the kind of things that we think schools could use if the state sent us the money.
I was going to say, I do think they're needs, not wants in a lot of ways. But again, it's a 10-year look. Our CIP only looks at 5 years from now. So I understand what you're saying, because the wants are in the 6 through 10 things for later, because we don't have them on the CIP yet. But things change between now and then.
I
So
just think when you're thinking about the CIP document, you know, the 1-year CIP, the 5-year CIP, the bond document, and then this one, I think it's just very important for the community to know that this one would be at the very bottom. So, you know, don't look at this one and think this is going to happen. If you want to know what's happening at your school and in your cluster and in your community, please go look at the CIP.
Ms. Huntington, I would add that the facility staff, Dave and his staff, have been working on this for literally a year, putting it together. So it is a thorough assessment of our wants and things that we need, but it has been going on for a long time.
I appreciate all the hard work that went into this, because if you look at each of the schools' document, it started at the school level and went up. So I appreciate all the work that you guys have put in.
I'm sure that Christina can probably chime in on this, but I remember going through this process 5 years ago with prior administration and staff. And I just want to commend Dave and the current facility staff on how thorough this document is compared to what I saw 5 years ago. So, you know, thank you for this, because when Kathy and I met with you last week, I felt very confident in the information you had provided.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. And as you said, I mean, really, there were a lot of people, you know, who were involved in this maintenance staff down at Ogram. A lot of the cost data, you know, is either based on recent projects, or it's where people had to actually go do some estimates. And so we do appreciate that.
Okay, thank you. We need a motion to send this to the full board on December 1st.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you, 4-0. The next item is informational construction update, Mr. Burnett.
Okay, and this is a very recent post onto board docs. So if you have that up, that would be great. Otherwise, I'll just quickly go through it. Sun Valley High School, really the last bond project. So transportation project is up and running and fully, you know, being utilized, working out the kinks, but it's being used for its intended purpose. So down to one, and that's the Sun Valley High School additions, renovations. I do provide some milestone dates that the contractor has provided. The new weight room, they're looking at November 30th for opening that up. Some specific items, there's, as far as circulation inside the older 1960 building, we do hope to have some improvements there, November 30th also. And then the other two milestones are January 18th, and that's for the performing arts area, which is the old dining, which I do have a picture of that. That picture is the new chorus room. And then an area, it's the old media center, and that area, both sides of that hall, also January 18th. As far as the site work, tennis courts, we have released that to the school to use, although punch list work, you know, does remain. Got a picture of the new track. Really like the track, and from what we can tell, I don't think we have very many punch list items on that one. As far as the other work at the stadium, what I would say is minor drainage work needs to happen at the ticket kiosk. However, there's some, you know, significant implications. Those two little buildings, we don't have the CO on that yet, and the drainage work is part of that. So it's a minor drainage work, but, you know, it's a significant issue that needs to complete.
When will that be complete?
It won't take long once they start. the
The starting
pricing.
is the issue.
Starting is the issue, and so the pricing, it's all changed. There's, the drainage work is all,
That's not our
new
problem,
design.
though. We didn't cause.
No, it was all a clean slate, on the design side.
Mhm.
And, so, we are looking, at
To them
at
to-
the team.
right.
To
But it's
resolve
been
that.
an issue now for a couple months, so when do we expect? I'm going to ask a lot of those questions. So one question, what's the deadline for the contract? What's the end date?
So the contractor has a
Rain
proposal.
stuff, I get that.
Yeah.
What's the
I
last
think
day?
it was in the neighborhood of 170 days. We haven't approved that, and and we're still evaluating that. But it's in the order of 170 days. And so that's a significant amount of time. It appears as though from this, that with the exception of auditorium, that we're really looking at a January 18th date or sooner.
Okay.
And so.
What about the
we
fencing
expect
around the property where the stanchions are up but nothing else? And it's been like that for at least 3 months, 4 months?
It has been, and the way that, I won't go into all the detail of how that subcontract, was organized. As I understand, and hopefully I recall it correctly, that material should be arriving in, I think, in about 2 weeks, hopefully, or less. And again, I have to make sure that I'm remembering that correctly.
Okay, and what about the gate that closes off the stadium so that nobody can get into it?
That is, I believe, let me get back to you on that one, because I'd hate to say the wrong date on that one.
And the bus lot?
As far as paving that,
Yeah.
that is supposed to happen. Last we heard, it's at the end of this month. And whether that's during the Thanksgiving break, I'm not sure on that one.
Okay, and signage so people know where they're going to get to the front of the front office?
Yeah, so we have worked with the consultant on what that text needs to say. We do need to get back to hear what that pricing is. So we've worked through some of that, but that's not complete. That hasn't been ordered yet.
I would love for this to be done sometime soon. This is.
We all want this
You
project
drive by
to be
there,
done.
I drive by there a couple times a day, and it's like, where's Waldo with the construction workers? I mean,
Yeah, one of the big items that has been holding up the show is the placement of rooftop units to provide conditioned space, for these areas that I had mentioned before. And what was involved in that is structural changes. So the structural changes had to be identified, they had to be designed, they had to be priced, then they had to be fabricated, and they are arriving on site, should be now, and being installed, and then the rooftops,
so there's a reason we didn't see anybody outside.
Yeah, they
Somewhat.
pretty much, they needed to have the conditioned space.
Okay, next.
A lot of roofing projects are underway. There's a list of them: East Union, Forest Hills, Hembry Bridge, which is completing, and Indian Trail, that one was just awarded. Monroe Middle, that one's underway. Parkwood High School, Piedmont High School, that one was just awarded 2 weeks ago. And South Providence also, November 5th.
We don't have to go through each one if you don't
Right.
want to. Any other big ones?
Yeah,
that you wanna-
the highlight is, the remaining highlight, I would say, that's not, we have HVAC projects, but Piedmont High School, the athletic improvements there.
That's awesome. It started.
That demolition is complete of the grandstand, and they're starting on the retaining wall.
That's great. It's going to be nice when it's done. You might want to order their fencing now that goes around there, just so it can actually come in on time.
Yep.
Sorry.
No, that's good.
Might want to just put in that order. Okay, next, change order. Sorry, Dave. You guys have been doing, I'm not picking at you guys, just so you know.
All right, let me find that change order.
Change order. There's just one for transportation. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, this was multiple items that we just gathered together for a $79,419.97 change. That was an increase to the contract. And it wasn't all inclusive of every single expense, but those were the bigger ones.
That facility is beautiful. I have to say, when we went to the opening of it, it is really nice facility. I appreciate everything that went into it.
Well, we hope and think that the transportation staff, will enjoy it a great deal, that it will be a great place to work. Hopefully it will help with retention and help with getting folks to, want to work for UCPS. Nice new, very appropriate facilities should help in that
Great.
effort.
We're hiring.
Yes, we're hiring.
Come visit the new transportation state-of-the-art facility and join UCPS.
Okay, surplus inventory. Does anyone have any questions on surplus? No. Okay, building and zoning is just an FYI. Our next meeting is December 17th. To the full board for the next meeting is going to be Park Place, which will be the vote on it, on the reassignment, the Parkwood High School mascot funding, and the items that will be funded, the Sun Valley High School media furniture, the facilities needs survey, and the roofing bid that we're going to do in closed session. So I need a motion to go into closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-131 for the consideration of bids.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.